Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Jason.
How are you?
Good.
Welcome to Trucking with Jason.
Let's do this.
Let's do this. All right, Andrew. Luckey Farmers in the, what do you call it, the
Western Lake Erie Basin.
Yep. Erie Basin. Full service ag retailer?
Full service ag retailer. We're grain, agronomy, feed and fuel, or energy. We're celebrating our 100th year this year, 2019. So Luckey Farmers has been around for 100 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You've been running precision ag since it started, right?
I wish I was. I age well.
100 years, that's great. Let's talk a little bit about the crops that you guys have there this year. This year's been a rough year all over the place. How are things looking on the ground up there?
It's been a rough year. So we have traditional row crops, wheat, corn, soybeans. We do have growers that do some vegetables, cabbage, peppers, tomatoes.
Okay.
But the people that we really do full service for, or that we really collaborate with, are traditional row crop growers, wheat, corn, soybeans.
And late getting in, prevent plant, take effect. What's your situation there?
Yeah, really late getting in. June 10th, I believe, is the cutoff for corn, and we estimate that only 25 to 30% of the corn got planted in our area. Probably only 40 to 50% of the soybeans, and some of that was soybeans that got planted were going to be corn acres. So a lot of preventative plant acres this year. It's going to take a toll on not only the growers but the ag retailers too.
Yeah, a lot of people don't quite understand that. Not only is there less acres planted, but there's less crop protection put on. There's less grain coming through the facilities. Everything. When you have a supply situation like this, everything is affected all the way down the chain.
All the way down the chain. So we've been concentrating mostly on making sure that we're getting the weeds under control on the acres that didn't get planted. That we're doing the soil sampling. That we're making the plan come this fall, getting cover crops on, getting the fertilizer put on. Getting our wheat situated so in October they can plant their winter wheat, and so all in all is not lost. It's been a hard season. Next year's going to be hard too without the grain coming in, but we'll overcome it.
Awesome. Well, one of the things I really wanted to talk about was you're kind of a leader in the 4R certification. I think a lot of people are starting to hear that term more often. But can you walk through, what I think you started in 2014 or 2015 with the program? Ohio State's involved, a lot of the departments within Ohio. Can you just kind of explain what 4R is?
Right. So the 4R is the right source of fertilizer, the right rate of fertilizer, the right time, and the right place. So as an initiative that was brought in, Toledo had their water crisis back in 2014. Big algal bloom in the Western Lake Erie Basin affected over 1 million people, their drinking water from the city of Toledo. So it's been an effort, the agriculture industry, been an effort to do this voluntary program of the 4Rs to really, instead of it being legislated, instead of laws and regulations coming down, let us do this voluntary program of the 4Rs and see if we can't help. A lot of it is education to the grower, understanding what fertilizers we're putting on, why we're putting it on, making sure our soil samples are up to date, and then tracking it and recording the data. So it's there's 45 different objectives that we have to meet to be 4R certified. Luckey Farmers been certified retail location since 2015.
And how many retailers in Ohio are 4R certified?
There's right around 53, 55 retailers that are 4R certified. I think there's 40 some in Ohio, 1 in Indiana, and I think 4 in Michigan.
Okay. So on the program, what are some of the things that you're doing differently now to comply with the program from a data collection standpoint, from a system standpoint?
Well, I think a lot of the regulations or a lot of the requirements on us is to provide data to a third-party auditor. So this isn't the state that's auditing. It's not a legislative group or anything like that that's auditing us. It's independently audited, and the things that they're asking for is the data on how much fertilizer was put on, when it was put on. Was it put on a growing crop? Was it incorporated? Did we not? We're trying to avoid runoff of phosphorus into the streams and tributaries that lead into Lake Erie. So was it incorporated, within 24 hours of a rainfall? Did we not spread that fertilizer, if their forecast was 50% chance of rain in an inch in the next 24 hours? So those are just some of the things. So we use a Farm Mobile to verify the data, pull the data in to our software, and by having that and having that data, now we have it centralized, and the auditing process is really simple. So
you talk about bringing in other data sets, and I think ag tech in general, I call it ag tech fatigue, but ag tech in general has been, I guess, forced or thrown upon a lot of people to the point where they're just kind of throwing their hands up because nothing's quite done what they thought. And it's my view that we've always had this or discussion around ag tech. It's deer or climate or, and I think what you're talking about from the requirement standpoint, and something that I'm pretty proud of what we're doing with your organization, is being able to you have to bring in weather data, and you have to bring in as applied data, and you have to bring in work orders. And there's no one system out there today that's going to do all that. So you got to figure out a way to work with others in order to make this stuff useful, and really to I think, create this standard, which I see getting much bigger than just your neighborhood, which is why I'm excited to visit with you about it today.
Right. And we have 5 major partners, from DTN Weather to Ag World, our agronomy software, to AgVantage software, who's pulling in that data for invoicing, accounting for our growers, and even to Farm Mobile, being able to pull that data into Ag World, letting us use those data layers to make a better decision on where nutrients need to be applied.
That's great. Tell me how you guys are using pucks from a commercial standpoint, and then from a grower standpoint, and the difference in how you're doing that.
So we have pucks in our equipment, our spreaders, sprayers, the things that we are going out to custom app for. We utilize that data kind of internally, and with the live view of what Farm Mobile offers us, we have a great mapping and dispatching program in Ag World. But that just shows us who's assigned what work order, how much work they have. It doesn't really show us where they're at in real time. And that's the unique thing that Farm Mobile gives us, is being able to visualize where that machine is, what he's doing, how he's doing, and then having the real-time data if something were to mess up, or we don't have to go out and pull that data from the machine. We have it already in Farm Mobile.
Get rid of the thumb drives.
Get rid of the thumb drives, yep. And from the grower's perspective, the grower has data layers, whether it's planting data layers, some of their spray or spread layers, tillage layers. We have some of their data layers, of the spreading or spraying. They have
from the
harvest
services
data.
they hired. Yep.
Right, for the services they hired from us. So, the grower has data layers, we have data layers. Where the link is that Farm Mobile allows us to put those data layers together. So we have a picture of that whole operation.
A lot of people, and I'm going to say primarily this is what we've learned with ag retail over the last, probably 24 months, which is when we've had a pretty big uptake in the interest from the ag retail sector, is a lot of times they hop on Farm Mobile, they get a few pucks just as a system of record, I call it, right? They just want to make sure that they have an as-applied strategy. Generally, there might be some, requests for information down the road, and they just want to be able to easily have this data recorded and available, and it doesn't take a lot of extra work from the drivers to plug it in and let it go. So I think a lot of people initially hop on to some Farm Mobile subscriptions from that system of record standpoint, but they quickly realize that once I have this device in the machine, this system of orchestration, I call it, or this fleet management or this logistics piece is just kind of a byproduct, right? So it was valuable for them to have the system of record and be able to access that data. It becomes more valuable when they understand the ability to really, from a fleet management or logistics standpoint, know where things are. And then as they move to the grower piece, I call it a system of performance or measurement, because a lot of times from the agronomy angle, we look at a yield map and we try to figure out and work our way backwards. One of the cool things about having that real-time data is you can make some in-field decisions or even some in-season decisions and impact that yield, so you're not looking backwards at what could have we done, but you're realizing the opportunity between the planting and the harvest. And so tell me, is that a similar pattern to what you guys have learned?
Similar. We were looking, when we first started with Farm Mobile, we were looking internally for a way. We have growers, so we do grid sampling, 2.5 acre grids. We write a 2-year recommendation. We may put all that fertilizer on up front. They plant corn, soybeans, and then what they want is us to just fertilize for the removal of the crop.
Got it.
We would have to go out and hunt down their flash drive, come all the way back to the office, plug it into the computer, no data on it. So we got to go find the grower again and say, there's no data on this. And are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. And well, let me get my grandson out here. He knows how to use this better than me.
Sure.
And we have to wait for his grandson to get out of school to get the data to write a recommendation. With Farm Mobile, we found that, hey, we can have this data right away. No flash drives, no nothing. We can download the data from the data store, from the data engine.
Yep.
Upload it into our software, write a prescription, have it done, fertilize, spread the next day.
And that's a really important piece, especially in a year like this, right, where you need to know when that field gets done so you can extend really your window of application.
Yes.